we make decisions in the emotional side of our brain. That's how humans are wired. We like to say we make logical decisions. Even lawyers especially like to say we make logical decisions, but we don't. I started looking for another car, and I found this Lexus ES350 with low profile tires and chrome rims and blacked out windows. And that's a sexy car, right? And so the emotional side of my brain was, I want that car. And so as soon as I made a decision to, this is the car for me, the logical side of the brain started kicking in and looking for justifications. Oh, it gets 30 miles to the gallon. Oh, I can park in a regular garage with that thing, right? Oh, this way my wife can drive this car. She couldn't drive the Hummer. So all of a sudden your brain kicks in to justify your decision. That's where buyer's remorse lives. So when we're marketing, the buyer's journey, what they do is they got all these things going on in their head, and you tap into the emotion and they make a decision. Oh, I think this is the right business for me. And as soon as they make that decision, they start to look for justifications.
Fastlane Founders and Legacy with Jason Barnard. Each week, Jason sits down with successful entrepreneurs, CEOs, and executives and get them to share how they mastered the delicate balance between rapid growth and enduring success in the business world. How can we quickly build a profitable business that stands the test of time and becomes our legacy? A legacy we're proud of. Fastlane Founders and Legacy with Jason Barnard.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Fastlane Founders and Legacy with me, Jason Barnard. A quick hello, and we're good to go. Welcome to the show, James Brown.
Oh, my goodness, what an introduction. Thank you so much, Jason. I'm happy to be here today.
Right, and I had to do a tiny pause before your name because of this. Obviously.
That's right.
Anybody searches your name, they come across James Brown. Oh, get on down.
I feel good.
My terrible imitation of James Brown. I have no idea how to imitate James Brown. I'm a singer, but he's a real singer. I mean, this guy knows how to sing. How do you live with that brand name confusion, James Brown?
I get a lot of I feel good every time I give somebody that name. Yeah. So it's just been something I got used to, and we try to we really haven't had any issues with branding around the name, and it's somebody to try to live up to. I don't think I ever could, but I got to create my own path as James Brown.
Sure. I mean, I suppose that's the point, is once you're faced with somebody like James Brown, the singer I Feel Good, it ceases to be a problem simply because there's no expectation of beating that James Brown to fame when somebody searches your name. So what I then did, obviously, is search your name with Business Accelerator Institute, and that's the search result for your name with that, what we call qualifier term.
Okay.
Looks good. You're obviously on podcasts a lot. Doesn't look as good as James Brown, but I'd like to point out to anybody watching this, there is no reason why our James Brown here couldn't have a result like this James Brown when you add the qualifier Business Accelerator Institute. So there is a question of famousness, but there's also a question of, once Google does understand who you're looking for, our James Brown in this case, there's no reason it shouldn't show you in such a wonderful light with that knowledge panel and the cards and the information and the things that you've done and your achievements. So there's a bit of brand SERP information that I share at the beginning of every episode. Would you like that, James?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we all like to look our very best, and we do like to have the result that we deserve. I mean, James Brown deserves this result. Our James Brown with the qualifier deserves a result just as good.
Yes.
But today we're talking about marketing machines. Oh, by the way, that's what we do at CaliCube, for anybody who wasn't clear about it before. We optimize brands and people for Google and AI, and there's a poster behind me for that for somebody who's listening on audio only. But I was interested in your marketing machine. You've been helping brands with marketing to scale their businesses. And that's exactly what we're trying to do at Calicube. We have a brand, we have a business, we have a marketing strategy. How do we scale it? Please.
Well, I think, I've worked now with over 450 business owners, and it's mostly in the professional service businesses.
Oh, perfect. That's
and what I found, I'm a retired lawyer. So I kind of got into my own business by not by choice, but by necessity. I got married when I was 19. I worked at General Motors on the assembly line, building 512 cars a day through undergraduate and law school. And then right when I was getting out of law school, they announced they were going to close the plant. I sent out 200, which was, I'm like, great timing. I just passed the bar exam, right? So I sent out 200 resumes and I got 0 response. And at that time, I had a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And I'm like, I guess I'm going to start my own place. And what I did was not being trained in school on how to run a business, not being trained in school on how to market my business. They just said, hey, hang your shingle out and people will come. It's not how it works. I mean, to some extent it will if you have a large circle of influence. But that usually allows you to it doesn't allow you to scale, right? So I started, I didn't know what to do. So I started copying what everybody else does. And I just ran the same ads that everybody else did. I did consumer bankruptcy work. And so I just copied what the other people were doing. And I was getting
my bottom dollar that didn't work.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it at the time. And I had a lot of marketing vendors that came to me and said, here, just do this, right? Not realizing it was like a cookie cutter approach for every law firm that they represented. And that exacerbated the problem. So I was getting maybe 2 clients a week. Okay. It sounds like, hey, that's a pretty good, but 2 clients a week, it wasn't what, I wanted to do based on the volume of cases filed in our area. So I started studying human buying behavior. What makes people take action? And one of the things that I found out early on, it was like a light bulb moment for me, was the prospect, when they have a problem, they're constantly thinking about it. That's how we're wired. Our brain starts working on that problem to find a solution, right? And so if you ever, I use this analogy sometimes, when you're in the market for a new car and you kind of see one that you like, all of a sudden you see that car everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Same color, same everything. It's like, why have I never seen this before? Because it's noise before. You're not paying attention to it until you want that car, till you have that problem.
Right. Yeah, no, it's kind of interesting. My ex-wife and I decided to move to Mauritius to make cartoons in 2000, sorry. And as soon as we made the decision to move to Mauritius, we saw Mauritian restaurants everywhere. We saw advertisements to fly to Mauritius, and we had never seen them before. But in fact, you're right. It was noise. And it's simply because we were thinking about it. Yes. And it was a problem we needed to solve. How do we get there? How do we set it all up there? All of a sudden you're thinking, okay, this is top of my mind. And it's that top of mind idea that's really coming into play.
It is. And, so when your brain is working on this 24/7, it's where the old cliche comes up. It's what keeps you up at night. Because even while you're sleeping, your brain's working on it. Sometimes we'll wake up in the middle of the night with an idea, or we're panicked because of this problem. So what I found out in studying this was that now the human brain is looking for a solution, and we have Google, right? So we go out and we do a search for Google, and all of these options come up, thousands and thousands of options. And they all look the same.
Can I cut in there? In fact, increasingly we're using ChatGPT and having a conversation, and ChatGPT guides us to the solution. So Google search, which is what I've got behind me, and I'm now going to move my camera, is now the AI of tomorrow, which is in fact the AI of today. is that I have conversation with ChatGPT, who then leads me down the funnel to the solution.
Yeah. And then what happens is you get all these solutions and they all look the same. And so your brain starts to shut down. Yeah. It's like, I don't know what to do, right? They all look the same. A couple of years ago, I was building an outdoor gazebo out here. We have 5 acres of land and a pool outside. And I wanted a gazebo out there so that I could watch football in the fall. And I have a fire pit and all that stuff. But I needed an outdoor TV. I can
almost see you.
Yeah.
With the fire pit, the TV, the football, and the gazebo. Lovely.
And so in St. Louis, we have 4 very distinct weather seasons, I guess. And in the winter time, there'll be a few weeks where it gets into below zeros to 10 below zero. So I need a TV that's going to survive that, right? I'm not going to sit out there at that time of year, but I need a TV that's going to survive it. So I looked for outdoor TVs, and literally there was hundreds of options. And if you would have crossed out Panasonic, LG, Samsung, they're all the same. So what happens, right? When that happens, the brain defaults to lowest price. And so that's what happens with a lot of business owners, especially professional service business owners. So when they're getting a lot of phone calls like, how much is this for this? I already know that it's because their marketing looks the same as everybody else. So how do we change that? And this is where I stumbled onto the marketing machine. I believe there's 2 basic ways of marketing. You mentioned one earlier is the branding, right? You showed the James Brown brand, and then you showed my current James Brown brand, which I now know needs a lot of work.
And we come to Jason Barnard's brand, which is the red shirt and the stuff I talk about and demonstrating my expertise. Search my name on Google, I look like a superstar. And the other Jason Barnards don't get a look in, but I'm not as famous as James Brown, the other James Brown, obviously. And 80% of CaliQ's business comes through people trusting me as an authority in my field for optimizing brand for Google and AI. So that's one way. What's the second way?
The second way is what we call direct response, right? So branding is to get your name out there so that if they need you in the future, they automatically think of you. And you're out there everywhere. Think of Coca-Cola, General Motors, all of those types of big brands, right? Direct response is I'm going to enter the conversation that's going on in somebody's head right now and get them to raise their hand and say, I want to know more right now because I have a problem that I currently have. So in bankruptcy, let's say I got a foreclosure notice on my house. I have a problem. All of a sudden I see a message that says, are you about to lose your home and can't tell your family you're going to live on the street?
Right.
That's me, right? That's direct response.
And that's the hardest because you have to find the moment when they're thinking of that so that you're the solution at the moment. Somebody told me 4% of the people you're going to be able to sell to are actually having that problem at the exact moment they see you.
Yeah, I the statistics I've read is a little bit lower, but it's right around there. 2 to 3% is what I've seen. 4%.
It's low, and the luck factor of 4% is pretty high.
And that exacerbates the problem too, because all of your businesses are targeting that 4%.
And how do I? For me, the problem is that I've got, let's say, 500,000 people who could potentially benefit from what we offer. And 4% of them are actually in the market at the time I see them, or they see us, sorry. How do I get to them at that point? How do I make sure it's me who's in front of them?
I think the number one thing, and we talked about it a few minutes ago, was when I was looking for that TV and all of the options looked the same, then I resort to lowest price and I just start going down the list, right? When my marketing message stands out over everybody else, all of a sudden it thins the herd. And I'll give you an example. I was in Miami about 2 years ago, and I searched for Miami divorce lawyer, right? I'm not getting a divorce. I just searched because that's most of the professionals I work with are lawyers, doctors, dentists. And the 3 pay-per-click results that were at the top of the page, the first one said, top rated Miami divorce lawyer. The second one said AV rated Miami family law lawyer. And the third one said, is he sleeping with her right now? And I'm sitting there going, whoa, right? And this firm only represented women in divorce.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there thinking, all of the women that are out there that are maybe seeing signs that their husband's cheating on them, right? All of a sudden, this message stands out and it thins the herd, right? And then this message stands out. Now they click on it. And that's all that headline is designed to do, is get them to click on it. And then it takes them to a landing page that continues that conversation going on in their head, right? And so when you do that and you can enter the conversation and then continue the conversation, my number one goal is just to get them to raise their hand and ask for more info. So how does this work in the real world? Well, one of the things I found out, especially with small businesses, is yes, they would love to do branding, but a lot of them can't afford the money to do it right, or the time it takes to get your name out there, right? Direct response, I can do marketing today and have the phone ring tomorrow. And that's what a lot of these businesses need. So a lot of times I'll start with them on direct response until we build the revenue enough where we have some discretionary dollars in the marketing budget where we can start the branding style. So it's kind of a multi-step approach. But when I implemented this in my business, remember, I was averaging like 2 clients a week. And in the first week I ran direct response ads, we signed 68 clients.
Right.
And it was just me and my wife, and we're just looking at each other like, now what? Right. And so the second week was 73 clients. Third week was 62. And that was the beginning of building an $8 million a year bankruptcy firm. And so and all I learned was from Dan Kennedy and Disciples, right? In that really strong direct response. So how do I know what headline or what question or what is going to enter the conversation going on in their head? And what I found was the best way is just to ask people.
Yeah.
So when they came in, my first question to them was, what brought you in today? Seems like a really simple question.
Yeah.
Right. And they would say, oh, I got a foreclosure notice. Okay, well, that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's not really what their brain is thinking. So I'm like, okay, what's the foreclosure notice mean to you? I'm going to lose my house. Okay. And if you lose your house, how will that impact you? Now they start getting into the real things that they're worried about. We don't have any family here. I'd have nowhere we could go. If I have to move, I'd have to pull my kids out of school. They'd have to leave their friends. I can't afford to stay in a hotel or anything. It's unsafe to stay in my car. And my wife doesn't even know we're behind in house payments, right? That right there is what I built my marketing messages around. And so I created all these headlines around those things just by doing informal research. If somebody's car was repossessed, I'm like, how does that impact you? Well, if I'm late for work again one more time, I'm going to lose my job. Okay, right? And so that became the focus of all of my marketing, and it wasn't talking about me. Because one of the things I realized was at the point that I'm trying to enter the conversation going on in their head, the conversation's not about me or my credentials. It's about their problem. Right now, I know this is opposite from a branding style, but it's to get that phone ringing. And I think there can be a combination of the two.
I was going to say, I feel that the combination is that we do tend to think about ourselves and we say, well, I've got 5-star review ratings, X, Y, Z, and what you were citing earlier on for the ads. But there is an option to get into the conversation at the critical moment with that brand message, and then you are even stronger. So if you can do both, you're going to win the game.
Yes.
Probably.
And here's why. We make decisions in the emotional side of our brain. That's how humans are wired. We like to say we make logical decisions. Even lawyers especially like to say we make logical decisions, but we don't. There was one point where I had a, are you familiar with the Hummer H2 vehicle?
Heard of it.
Okay, so it was years ago, like 15 years ago, but it was a gas guzzling, big SUV. And I had one of those, and we got like 5 miles to the gallon. And this was when gas was like $6 a gallon here. So literally, when I went to the gas station to fill it up, it would cap off at $100, and then I would have to restart it and keep filling it up because it was like 150, and it lasted me like 3 days. So I started looking for another car, and I found this Lexus ES350 with low profile tires and chrome rims and blacked out windows. And man, that's a sexy car, right? And so the emotional side of my brain was, I want that car. And so as soon as I made a decision to, this is the car for me, the logical side of the brain started kicking in and looking for justifications. Oh, it gets 30 miles to the gallon. Oh, I can park in a regular garage with that thing, right? Oh, this way my wife can drive this car. She couldn't drive the Hummer. So all of a sudden your brain kicks in to justify your decision. That's where buyer's remorse lives. So when we're marketing, the buyer's journey, what they do is they got all these things going on in their head, and you tap into the emotion and they make a decision. Oh, I think this is the right business for me. And as soon as they make that decision, they start to look for justifications. If you ever notice, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but if you go to people's businesses, Google Analytics, and you look at the top pages visited, it kind of shows that buyer's journey. That the first page is always the home page. Then it's like an article or a practice area or some kind of substantive thing about what they do. Then it's an about us page, and then it'll be a contact us page. And so that's that buyer's journey where it's like, I have a problem. I come to your homepage. I go to the problem. Now I think this is the right business for me. So let me go to the about us page and justify my decision. And then I go to the contact us page and contact them. Yeah. And it's really interesting that that's the buyer's journey. So when you lead with, I'm the best, I have 30 years experience, look at all my credentials, you interrupt the buying process.
Right, which makes a lot of sense. And for the about page, an interesting piece of information is one of our clients optimized their about page according to what we suggested for Google and AI and the customer. And he measures everything. And he said there was a 6% uplift in conversions for people who went through the about page when the about page actually gave that message of trustworthy and credibility.
Yes, because that's the brain is looking for that justification.
Yeah.
It's like it's the reason why as soon as somebody sets an appointment with my business, the very first thing they get is an email that says, congratulations, you just took control of your future. And I bet you're nervous about that because I'm acknowledging that that's what's happening, right? So I wanted you to see what some of our raving fans say about us. And then I give them testimonials, and here's all my credibility badges. And now they're like, oh, look at all this social proof, right? And then the Google ratings and all this stuff. And now in their mind, they're like, I made the right choice.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's kind of was the basis of building this machine where I'm getting 80 to 100 phone calls every single week. When I had a staffing shortage, I could turn it down until I got that person hired, and then I can turn it back up. And so to me, that created such a peace of mind in having a machine that produced leads consistently every single day, and I can control that faucet.
Right. So if we kind of wrap it up with the conclusion, it's direct advertisements with a message that stands out from the crowd, that addresses an emotional need, and the emotional side of my perspective of where my problem lies, lead them through to a page that reassures them they're in the right place, explains the problem and how you solve it, why you're the best solution, and then you move them through to now here's a page where you can trust us, contact us, you get the lead. Is that more or less it?
More or less, that's it. And it doesn't matter what marketing channel we're using. It can be the same approach, whether it's offline, online, or not. And that's a whole nother subject about the marketing channels. But one of the things a lot of businesses will have an avatar or a persona of who their A+ client is. But I take it a step further and I say, what keeps them up at night? A lot of business owners are like, I don't know. Well, ask them. Start asking. What brought you in? Why is that important? And then ask them this: where do you get your information from? Right? Wouldn't it be great to know, like, our perfect clients get their information from Facebook rather than TikTok? They get it from radio rather than TV. They get it from regular old-fashioned newspapers rather than digital. Right now, we can choose the marketing channels based on where they get their information from.
Right. Which would be a conversation, as you said, a whole new conversation.
Whole nother conversation, right? And that knowing where they get their information from, I'll give you an example of this. I was out in a mastermind meeting when I had my law firm, and they were all personal injury attorneys, and they're sitting around talking about they were doing radio and they were killing it. They were getting all these cases and killing it. And I'm just taking notes like a naive, right? Copying what they were doing. And I'm like, what radio stations? And they're like, news talk, sports talk. We put 10,000 a month in and we're getting 120,000 a month in revenue. I'm like, okay, come back to St. Louis. I take $10,000 and I throw it at news, sports talk radio. And I got zero, nothing, nada. And I'm like, okay, why didn't that work? So I started asking my clients, do you listen to the radio? Yeah, we listen to radio all the time. What stations? Jazz 101, Magic 108, Jazz 101, Magic 108, Jazz 101, Magic 108. I took that same $10,000 and put it on those two stations, and I got 50 phone calls in the next 3 days. Right? So that taught me, don't just throw money against the wall and see what sticks. When we come to our marketing dollars, that's just gambling, right? I want to tilt the odds in my favor as much as I can. So if I can do an informal poll to all my clients and say, do you listen to radio? Yes. What stations? Do you go on social media? Which ones are you on? Is it Facebook? Like my mom's still with us at 80 years old. She's barely on Facebook. She's never been on TikTok, never been on Twitter. I'm on Facebook and TikTok, but I've never been on Twitter. Right? So knowing where people get their information from will help you better utilize your marketing dollars. Right. And then hone that message in so that you enter the conversation going on in their head.
Brilliant. Super. That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. And I love the idea of entering the conversation. It's where we're going with ChatGPT, Google AI mode, Copilot, Perplexity. These machines are having conversations with people and solving their problems. I'll give you a really quick story.
Okay.
I wanted to know if I could play my guitar through a bass amp without breaking it. I asked ChatGPT, that told me, no, you won't break it, but it'll sound like not very good. I said, oh, how do I make it sound good? It gave me the three pedals, the effects I needed to work by. I asked it which were the best ones. It said these ones, $250. I said, oh, can you get that for less? It said, yeah, here's some lower cost options. I said, okay, I'll go with that. Where do I buy it? Thomann or Sweetwater. Here's the link. That was a 15-minute conversation from a problem I had no idea how to solve to me buying these effects pedals for $150. Thomann made $150. ChatGPT got me to the solution so fast. And it was a conversation. And Thomann got involved in that conversation at exactly the right moment, the perfect click when I'm ready to buy.
Correct.
So that's the SEO kind of AEO assistive engine version of what you've been talking about. Thank you so much, James Brown. I feel pretty good. And I had to say that. You get the outro song.
I do. I love it.
A quick goodbye to end the show. Thank you, James Brown. I feel good.
Thank you so much, Jason.
Your corporate and personal brands are what Google and AI say they are. We can give you back control. Telecube